Commander Amanda Russell stood at the viewport of Earth Defense Force Station Alpha, her enhanced eyes easily adapting to the stark contrast between Earth's bright blue curve and the darkness of space. The subtle improvements beneath her skin no longer felt strange after 5 years of service. They were simply part of who she was now, like the uniform she wore or the neural interface at the base of her skull. "Commander," her second-in-command's voice came through her neural link. "The Galactic Council ships have entered lunar orbit. They're requesting permission to dock." "Granted, Lieutenant Nash," she replied, her augmented vocal cords producing the perfectly clear tones that had become standard among EDF officers. "Alert Dr. Martins that our guests are arriving. She should be present for this." The Council ships were beautiful in an alien way, all curves and flowing lines, like sea creatures swimming through space. They made Earth's vessels look brutish and angular in comparison. Russell couldn't help but admire their grace, even as she noted their weapons capabilities and shield configurations with her enhanced vision. Hours later, she wished the meeting had never happened. "This is absolutely unacceptable." The lead council representative, who had introduced himself as High Speaker Zulax, was turning a shade of green that Russell's enhanced vision interpreted as indicating extreme distress. His translator device crackled with the intensity of his words. "You've corrupted your own species, modified your genetic code, created monstrosities." Russell kept her face carefully neutral, though her enhanced hearing picked up Dr. Martinez's sharp intake of breath beside her. The 3 council representatives had seemed diplomatic enough during introductions, but the moment they'd scanned the human delegation and detected their modifications, everything had gone downhill. "High Speaker," Russell said calmly, "these modifications are defensive in nature. They allow us to better protect our..." "Protect." Another council member, this one with iridescent scales, cut in. "You've turned yourselves into weapons. Your soldiers can regenerate limbs, survive in vacuum, interface directly with machines. These are not natural abilities. Neither is faster than light travel." Dr. Martins spoke up, her voice steady despite her elevated heart rate. "Yet your ships clearly employ it. We've simply chosen to improve our bodies rather than rely solely on external technology." The third council member, who had remained quiet until now, leaned forward. Their crystalline structure caught the light in ways that Russell's enhanced eyes found fascinating. "There is a fundamental difference," they said softly. "Ships can be decommissioned. What you have done to yourselves, to your species, it cannot be undone." Russell squared her shoulders. "We had no choice. When we first detected signals from deep space, we knew we weren't alone anymore. We knew we had to be ready. Earth has a long history of more technologically advanced civilizations destroying less advanced ones. We refused to be victims. And so you chose to become monsters instead?" Zelax asked, his translator barely keeping up with his rapid speech. "The Council cannot allow this. It goes against every principle of natural development. Every species we've encountered in the last 10,000 years has agreed that genetic modification of sentient beings is forbidden." "We're not asking for permission," Russell replied, keeping her voice level. "Earth is not part of your council. We're simply informing you of our capabilities in the spirit of diplomatic openness." The meeting deteriorated quickly after that. The council representatives made threats about sanctions, about quarantine, about forcing Earth to restore its modified soldiers. Russell and her team listened, recorded everything through their neural interfaces, and maintained their composure. Later that night, in her private quarters, Russell received the message she'd been dreading. The Council ships had departed lunar orbit, but long-range sensors showed a much larger fleet assembling at the edge of the solar system. She opened a secure channel to EDF Command. "General, you've seen the reports." "I have, Commander." The general's hologram flickered in the center of her room. The Council's response was predictable. "They fear what they don't understand." "They fear what they understand all too well," Russell corrected. "They see us as a threat to their established order. Their entire civilization is built on the idea that species should develop within certain guidelines. We've broken those guidelines completely. Then they shouldn't have left us alone to develop for so long, the general replied. Humanity has always adapted to survive. This is no different. Russell's enhanced vision picked up movement outside her viewport. The station's defense platforms shifting into new configurations, preparing for possible hostile action. Orders, sir. Prepare your forces, Commander. If they want to see monsters, we'll show them exactly what humanity's monsters can do to protect their home. She ended the transmission and turned back to the viewport. Earth hung below, peaceful and blue. Russell had been born down there, normal and unmodified. She'd chosen to become something else, something more, to protect that blue marble and everyone on it. Her neural interface pinged with incoming data, fleet movements, defense preparations, deployment orders. Through the station's network, she could feel other enhanced soldiers awakening to full combat readiness, their modified bodies humming with potential energy. The Council thought they were monsters. Russell allowed herself a small smile. They hadn't seen anything yet. She opened a channel to all EDF personnel on the station. This is Commander Russell. As of 0000 hours, we are at Defense Condition 2. All enhanced personnel, report to your stations. Begin combat preparations and run full diagnostics on your modifications. Across the station, hundreds of enhanced soldiers responded, their neural interfaces lighting up like stars in Russell's consciousness. They were humanity's shield, its sword, its monsters in the dark. They had sacrificed their original forms to become something new, something powerful enough to ensure Earth's survival in a hostile universe. The Council fleet would arrive in force soon, expecting to find a primitive species they could bully into compliance. Instead, they would meet the void-born monstrosities of the Earth Defense Force. And they would learn why humanity had chosen to become monsters rather than victims. As Russell coordinated the preparations, Dr. Martinez appeared at her door. Commander, I have something you need to see. We've been analyzing the Council's scanned data of their own biology. And they're not as natural as they claim to be. Their species, all of them, show signs of ancient genetic engineering. They'd just forgotten their own history, or chosen to forget it. Russell absorbed this information, her enhanced mind already calculating the tactical and diplomatic implications. Keep that information secure for now, Doctor. We may need it later. There's more, Martinez added. The new modifications we've been developing. I think we can accelerate the timeline. If the Council wants to force this confrontation, we can make sure our people are ready. Russell nodded slowly. Do it. But remember our core principle. All modifications must be voluntary. We're monsters by choice, not by force. That's what makes us different from them. As Martinez left, Russell returned to her vigil at the viewport. Above, the defense platforms continued their silent dance. Below, Earth spun on, unaware of the gathering storm. And in between, humanity's monsters prepared to do what they had been created to do, protect their home, no matter the cost. The void was calling, and they would answer, not as the humans they had once been, but as the guardians they had chosen to become. The Council would learn soon enough that sometimes monsters were necessary. Sometimes monsters were exactly what the universe required. Robert Hayes remembered the day he volunteered for Project Evolution like it was yesterday, even though 13 years had passed. He sat in Dr. Linda Martinez's office now, watching a new batch of volunteers through the observation window, remembering his own fear and excitement. Hard to believe it's been that long, Dr. Martinez said, joining him at the window. Her hair had more gray in it now, but her eyes still held the same fierce intelligence. You were one of our first successes. Robert nodded, his enhanced vision automatically analyzing the vital signs of the volunteers below. They look so young. You were young too, 22, fresh out of the Space Force Academy. The memory came back clearly, enhanced by his perfect recall. The stark white room, The endless medical tests, the mountain of consent forms. The doctors had been very clear. The process might kill him. If it didn't, he would never be the same. I was scared, he admitted, but more scared of what might be out there in space, waiting for us. Dr. Martinez touched the window, her expression soft. We all were. That's why we started Project Evolution. Fear of the unknown drove us to become something new. Below, the medical team was explaining the first phase of modifications to the volunteers. Robert listened in with his enhanced hearing. The initial changes focus on survival, the lead doctor was saying. Enhanced lung capacity, reinforced bone structure, improved radiation resistance. Your bodies will be able to handle the extremes of space better than any normal human. One of the volunteers, a young woman with short brown hair, raised her hand. Will it hurt? Robert remembered asking the same question. Dr. Martinez had been honest with him then, just as the doctor was being honest now. Yes, the doctor said. Your body will be rebuilding itself at the cellular level, but we can help manage the pain, and the neural interface will help you adapt to the changes. 13 years ago, Robert had been the one sitting in those chairs, listening to similar words. He remembered the pain of the first transformation, his bones growing denser, his muscles rebuilding themselves, his nervous system lighting up with new connections. Show them, Dr. Martinez said quietly. Robert understood what she meant. He stood up and walked down to the observation room. The volunteers turned to look at him as he entered, their eyes widening as they took in his appearance. He looked mostly human, but there was something different about him, something their instincts recognized as both familiar and alien. My name is Robert Hayes, he said. 13 years ago, I was sitting where you are now. Let me show you what you might become. He held up his hand and let his skin shift, becoming transparent to reveal the enhanced musculature and reinforced skeleton beneath. A few of the volunteers gasped. Others leaned forward, fascinated. This is just the surface, he continued. The real changes are deeper. Enhanced organs, improved neural pathways, regenerative capabilities. I can survive in vacuum for 30 minutes without a suit. I can process radiation that would kill an unmodified human. I can interface directly with our ships and weapons. Are you still human? One of the volunteers asked. Robert had asked himself that question many times over the years. On what humanity needed me to become, he answered. We're facing a universe that doesn't want us to exist as we are. The Galactic Council thinks we're monsters because we chose to adapt. But everything that makes us human, our minds, our hearts, our will to survive, that's still there. We've just given ourselves better tools to protect what matters. He shifted his skin back to normal appearance and rolled up his sleeve, revealing the neural interface port at his wrist. This will let you connect with our technology, share information instantly, control systems with a thought. But more importantly, it lets us connect with each other. Enhanced soldiers are never alone. We're part of something bigger. Another volunteer spoke up, a young man with determined eyes. The Council's fleet is coming. That's why they're accelerating the program, isn't it? Yes, Robert admitted. We need every volunteer we can get. The Council doesn't understand us, and they fear what they don't understand. They've forgotten their own history of adaptation and change. They think their way is the only way. Dr. Martinez joined him in the room. The enhancement process is permanent, she reminded them. Once it begins, there's no going back. You'll be changed forever. Some will call you monsters. Others will fear you, but you'll have the power to protect Earth and everyone on it. Robert looked at each volunteer in turn. I won't lie to you. The process is painful. The changes are dramatic. Some days, you'll look in the mirror and barely recognize yourself, but you'll be part of humanity's shield against whatever's out there in the dark. A young woman stood up. I volunteered to go first. One by one, the others stood as well. Robert felt pride swell in his chest. This was why Earth would survive. Not just because of their modifications, but because of the human spirit that drove them to face the unknown. Dr. Martinez began organizing the medical team for the first procedure. Robert stayed to watch, remembering his own transformation. The pain had been intense, but the results had been worth it. Each volunteer would emerge changed, enhanced, ready to join Earth's defense against a hostile universe. Through his neural interface, he could feel the activity across the facility. Other enhanced soldiers training, medical teams preparing, researchers developing new modifications. They were all part of humanity's response to a fundamental truth: adapt or die. Hours later, Robert stood in the recovery room, watching the first volunteer wake up. Her eyes opened, already showing signs of enhancement. Better low-light vision, improved visual processing. She looked at her hands in wonder as her skin shifted colors slightly, adapting to the room's temperature. "How do you feel?" he asked. She smiled, and there was something new in that smile, something that understood what it meant to be more than human. "Strong," she said. "Ready." Robert nodded. He could see the changes beginning in her cellular structure, the modifications taking hold. Soon she would begin the neural interface integration, then the specialized combat modifications. Step by step, she would become like him, one of Earth's monsters, one of its defenders. In orbit above them, Commander Russell and the Earth Defense Force prepared for the coming conflict. Down here, in labs and medical facilities across the planet, humanity was preparing in another way, by evolving, by choosing to become something new. The Council thought they were an abomination, but sometimes survival required becoming what others feared. Humanity had looked into the void and decided that they would rather be monsters than victims. As Robert watched the new volunteer begin her journey, he felt the familiar connection through his neural interface. Thousands of enhanced soldiers, all linked, all ready to defend their home. They were humanity's answer to an uncaring universe, and soon there would be more of them. The Council was coming to force humanity back into what they considered natural. They would learn what Earth's monsters could do. They would learn why humanity had chosen this path. And perhaps in time, they would remember their own forgotten history of adaptation and change. But until then, the enhanced soldiers of Earth would stand ready. Ready to protect, ready to fight, ready to show the galaxy why humanity's monsters were necessary. Lieutenant Peter Nash floated silently in the void, his enhanced body perfectly adapted to the vacuum of space. From his position near Pluto's orbit, he could see the Council fleet gathering. His modified eyes counted 50 ships, then 100, then more as they continued to arrive through FTL jumps. He didn't need a suit. His modified skin could handle vacuum, and his enhanced lungs could store oxygen for hours. His body generated its own heat, and radiation bounced harmlessly off his altered cells. The Council would have called him a monster. He called himself prepared. "Report status, Lieutenant." Commander Russell's voice came through his neural link. "The fleet keeps growing, Commander." Nash responded silently through the link. "I count 173 vessels now. Biggest ones are about 3 kilometers long. They're positioning themselves in attack formation." Back on Earth Defense Station Alpha, Commander Russell processed this information. She stood in the command center, connected to hundreds of enhanced soldiers through the neural network. Each one was a node in humanity's defense web, ready to respond at the speed of thought. George Bennett, Earth's chief diplomat, walked into the command center. His eyes were tired, but his voice was firm. "They've sent their final ultimatum," he said, holding up a data pad. "We have 48 hours to begin restoration procedures on all enhanced humans. They demand we hand over Dr. Martinez and all research related to Project Evolution." "And if we refuse?" Russell asked, though she already knew the answer. "They'll do it by force," Bennett replied. "They say they're quarantining a biological threat to galactic stability." Russell's enhanced mind ran through combat scenarios, calculating odds, planning strategies. Through the neural network, she could feel other enhanced soldiers doing the same, their combined processing power greater than any supercomputer. "Show me the message," she said. The ultimatum appeared on the main screen. To the leadership of Earth. Your species has committed an unforgivable crime against the natural order. The genetic modifications you have inflicted upon your own kind violate the most basic principles of galactic civilization. These abominations you have created pose a threat to all natural life. You have 48 hours to begin restoration of all modified humans to their natural state. Surrender all research and personnel related to your enhancement program. Accept council oversight of your species development. Failure to comply will result in immediate military action to contain this threat. By order of the Galactic Council High Command. Russell turned to Bennett. Send them our response. Bennett nodded grimly and typed. To the Galactic Council. Humanity refuses your demands. We will not undo the choices we have made to survive. We will not surrender our scientists or our research. We are not your subjects, and we do not recognize your authority over Earth. Come if you must. Earth's monsters are waiting. Earth Defense Force Command. As the message was sent, Russell opened a channel to all enhanced personnel in the solar system. This is Commander Russell. The Council has made their choice. Now we make ours. All enhanced personnel, battle stations, activate combat modifications, prepare to defend Earth. Through his neural link, Nash watched the Council fleet's reaction to Earth's response. Their ships began moving, spreading out into attack formations he could analyze with his enhanced vision. Commander, he reported, they're launching smaller vessels. Looks like scout ships. Want me to get a closer look? Proceed with caution, Lieutenant. We need to know their capabilities. Nash pushed off from his hiding spot on a small asteroid, his modified muscles propelling him through space with precise control. As he got closer to one of the Council scout ships, his enhanced vision revealed something interesting. Commander, you need to see this, he transmitted, sharing his visual feed through the neural network. They're ships. They're biomechanical. They modify their vessels, but think modifying themselves is wrong. The scout ship looked almost alive, its hull pulsing with organic patterns. Nash could see where they had merged biological components with mechanical systems, creating something that was neither fully machine nor fully alive. Hypocrites, Russell's voice came through the link. They're comfortable modifying other species to serve them, but call us monsters for modifying ourselves. Nash moved closer, gathering more data. His enhanced senses picked up energy readings, weapon signatures, shield configurations. All of it flowed through the neural network, being analyzed by thousands of enhanced minds working together. They're going to attack before the deadline, he reported. They're positioning for a multi-vector assault. Main fleet will hit the outer system defense platforms, while smaller groups try to punch through to Earth. Understood, Russell replied. Fall back to defensive positions, Lieutenant. Let them come to us. Nash began his retreat, but movement caught his enhanced vision. A Council scout ship had spotted him. He could see their scanners lighting up as they detected his presence in the void. The scout ship's crew must have been horrified. Their sensors would show a human floating in space without a suit, his body clearly modified beyond what they considered natural. Nash could imagine their reaction to seeing one of Earth's monsters up close. He didn't try to hide. Instead, he let them see him clearly. Let them see what humanity had become. Let them understand what they were facing. The scout ship fired a warning shot. Nash easily dodged it, his enhanced reflexes making the movement smooth and precise. He could have destroyed the scout ship. His modified body contained enough weaponry to tear through their hull. But that wasn't his mission. They've seen me, he reported, letting them report back about what they found. Maybe seeing one of us up close will make them reconsider. Unlikely, Russell responded, but it might make them hesitate. Good work, Lieutenant. Return to your assigned position. As Nash headed back to his defensive post, he could feel the neural network humming with activity. All across the solar system, enhanced soldiers were preparing for battle. Humanity's monsters were awakening, ready to show the Council why Earth had chosen this path. In the command center, Russell watched the tactical displays. The Council fleet was spreading out, preparing for their attack. They thought they were coming to put down abominations, to restore the natural order. They were wrong. They were coming to learn why humanity had chosen to become monsters. They were coming to learn what those monsters could do. All enhanced personnel, Russell broadcasted through the neural network. This is what we were created for. This is why we chose to become what we are. The Council thinks we're an aberration. Let's show them we're Earth's salvation. The response came back through the network. Thousands of enhanced minds united in purpose, ready to defend their home. They were humanity's shield, its sword, its monsters in the dark. And soon, very soon, the Council would learn why monsters were necessary. As the Council fleet began its advance, Nash took his position among the other enhanced soldiers scattered through the outer system. Through the neural network, he could feel their combined strength, their unity of purpose. The Council was coming to restore what they called the natural order. Earth's monsters were waiting to show them a new order, one where humanity would never be victims again. Captain Susan Wright moved through space like she was born there, her enhanced body spinning and twisting with perfect control. Around her, 30 other enhanced soldiers did the same, their movements synchronized through their neural network. Together, they were Void Team Alpha, Earth's first line of defense against the approaching Council fleet. Contact, one of her soldiers reported through the neural link. 3 Council ships approaching the Kuiper Belt defense line. Susan watched through her enhanced vision as the Council vessels approached. They were beautiful ships, all curves and flowing lines, more alive than mechanical. But Susan and her team were about to show them what alive really meant. Remember your training, she broadcast to her team. They expect ships. They expect machines. They don't expect us. Show them why they call us Void Dancers. The Council ships moved closer, their scanners sweeping the area. They were looking for Earth vessels, for traditional defenses. They weren't looking for 30 enhanced humans moving freely through space, their modified bodies carrying enough weapons to destroy capital ships. Susan gave the signal through the neural network. As one, Void Team Alpha burst into action. She led the charge, her enhanced muscles propelling her through space at speeds that would have torn a normal human apart. Her modified skin sparkled with stored energy, ready to release devastating bursts of plasma. The void between stars was her dance floor, and death was her dance. The Council ships detected them too late. By then, Susan's team had already attached themselves to the ship's hulls. Their modified hands could pierce metal, their enhanced strength could tear through reinforced plating, and their built-in weapons could punch holes in battleship armor. What are they? Susan heard the Council crew's panicked transmission. How are they surviving in space? What kind of monsters are these? We're humanity's monsters, Susan whispered, though they couldn't hear her in the vacuum. She planted a breach charge on the lead ship's engine housing, and we're just getting started. Through the neural network, she coordinated her team's attacks. Some planted explosives at key points, others used their built-in weapons to disable weapon systems and sensors. They moved like a swarm of deadly dancers, too fast and too coordinated for the Council's defense systems to track. The first ship's engine exploded silently in the void. The second lost its weapons arrays to precisely place charges. The third tried to retreat but found its navigation systems mysteriously failing after enhanced soldiers interfaced directly with its computers through their neural links. Command, this is Void Team Alpha, Susan reported. First engagement complete. 3 Council ships disabled. No casualties on our side. Commander Russell's voice came through the neural link. Good work, Captain. Status of Council crews. Alive but stuck. Their ships can't move or fight, but life support is intact. They're getting a good look at what humanity's monsters can do. Susan watched through her enhanced vision as escape pods launched from the disabled ships. The Council crews were retreating, leaving their beautiful vessels dead in space. She wondered what stories they would tell about the monsters they had encountered. More contacts, her team reported. 5 ships this time. Larger class. Susan smiled, her modified face adapting to the expression even in vacuum. Time for round 2. Show them our new tricks. This time, her team demonstrated their more advanced capabilities. Soldiers phase shifted through solid hull plating, their modified bodies temporarily becoming energy patterns. Others released swarms of nanites from their modified blood, the tiny machines eating through weapon mounts and engine cores. The Council ships never stood a chance. They were fighting ships, expecting to battle other ships. Instead, they faced humans who had become living weapons, who had evolved beyond the need for traditional space combat. This is why we modify ourselves, Susan broadcast on an open channel as another Council ship went dark. This is why we chose to become monsters. Space isn't your domain anymore. Through her neural link, she could feel other battles happening across the solar system. Other teams of enhanced soldiers, other void dancers, showing the Council why humanity had taken this path. They were humanity's answer to an uncaring universe. Not bigger ships, not better machines, but better humans. One of the Council ships managed to get off a transmission before its communications went dark. Fall back. They're not fighting with ships. They are the ships. These humans, they've become something impossible. Not impossible. Susan fought as she watched the Council vessels retreat. Just necessary. Her team regrouped around her, 30 enhanced humans floating in the void like strange stars. Through their neural network, she could feel their satisfaction, their pride in showing the galaxy what humanity could do. Command, she reported, second engagement successful. Council forces retreating from this sector. Well done, Void Team Alpha. Commander Russell responded. But stay alert. This was just their first probe. The main fleet is still coming. Susan looked at her team, these humans who had chosen to become something more. Their modified bodies glowed faintly in the darkness of space, powered by energy sources that the Council would consider unnatural. Their enhanced minds worked in perfect harmony through the neural network, making them more than just soldiers. They were a single organism, a dance troupe performing in the greatest theater of all. Let them come, she broadcast to her team. The void is our home now. We'll show them why they call us dancers. She watched the retreating Council ships, their crews no doubt terrified by what they had seen. Humans who moved through space without ships, who could tear through hull plating with their bare hands, who could interface with and destroy ship systems with a thought. They had come expecting to find monsters, and monsters they had found. But these monsters danced in the void between stars. These monsters moved with grace and precision that their natural forms could never achieve. These monsters had chosen their path, had embraced evolution that the Council feared. All void teams maintained defensive positions. Commander Russell's voice came through the neural network. The Council fleet is regrouping. They'll try different tactics now that they know what we can do. Susan moved her team into formation, spreading them out among the debris of their first battle. Let the Council come with their ships, with their weapons, with their fear of change. Humanity's monsters would be waiting. Here in the void, they would dance, and through their dance, they would show the galaxy why evolution could never be stopped, why change was the only constant, why sometimes monsters were exactly what the universe needed. The void dancers waited in the darkness between worlds, ready to perform their deadly ballet again. They were humanity's future, its defense, its willing monsters. And their dance was just beginning. Lieutenant John Cooper's squad floated in the shadow of Saturn's largest moon, Titan, their enhanced bodies barely registering the extreme cold. Through the neural network, they could feel the approach of the Council's main fleet, hundreds of ships moving into attack position. They're not slowing down, John reported to Commander Russell. Looks like they're done testing our defenses. Agreed, Russell's voice came through the neural link. All enhanced personnel, prepare for full engagement. Dr. Martinez is uploading the emergency combat upgrades now. John felt the new modifications flowing through his system. Dr. Martinez had outdone herself. These were capabilities they'd never tested before, born from studying the Council's own technology. His body tingled as the changes took hold, new weapons and defenses becoming available. The Council fleet emerged from FTL travel in a wave of light and energy. Their ships filled the space around Saturn, their weapons already charging. They had learned from their early losses and kept their distance, planning to destroy Earth's monsters from afar. They think range will save them, John said to his squad. Let's show them how wrong they are. At his signal, the squad activated their new modifications. Their bodies began to glow with stored energy, drawing power from the same dimensional space that Council ships used for FTL travel. They had become living generators, each soldier a power source that could match a small star. The Council fired first, their energy weapons lighting up space with deadly beams. But John's squad was already moving, their enhanced bodies leaving trails of light as they dodged at speeds that made them almost invisible. Now, John commanded through the neural network. His squad responded as one, releasing the stored energy in massive bursts. The attacks cut through space like newborn stars, tearing holes in Council ship shields as if they weren't there. Impossible. The Council's transmission echoed across all frequencies. They're generating FTL energy without ships. These abominations must be stopped. The Council fleet split into attack groups, trying to surround the enhanced soldiers, but more of Earth's defenders were arriving. Void teams led by Captain Wright, recon units under Lieutenant Nash, all coordinated by Commander Russell through the neural network. John watched as Susan Wright's Void Dancers tore through a group of Council cruisers, their movements perfect and deadly. Nash's recon teams were hitting weak points they'd discovered in earlier battles, their enhanced bodies carrying weapons that could pierce any defense. Cooper, Russell's voice cut through the chaos. Council forces are pushing toward Titan base. Stop them. John gathered his squad and pushed off from Titan's surface, their modified bodies accelerating to speeds that would have killed normal humans. The Council ships tried to track them, but Earth's monsters were too fast, too agile. Remember what we're fighting for, John broadcast to his squad as they engage. Remember why we chose to become this. His squad hit the Council formation like a wave of living weapons. Their new modifications let them phase through shields, their enhanced strength let them tear through hull plating, and their neural interfaces let them disable ship systems with a thought. But the Council had learned too. Their ships released clouds of autonomous defense drones, thousands of small machines programmed to target enhanced humans. The drones were fast, numerous, and didn't care about hitting their own ships. Squad, activate absorption protocols, John ordered. Dr. Martinez's latest modification kicked in. Their bodies began pulling in energy from the drones, using it to power their own systems. The more the Council attacked, the stronger Earth's monsters became. The battle around Titan became a storm of light and energy. Enhanced humans danced through space, their bodies glowing with stolen power. Council ships exploded or went dark as Earth's defenders proved that ships were no match for evolved humans. They're pulling back, Nash reported through the neural network, regrouping near Saturn's rings. But John saw something else through his enhanced vision. A massive Council ship emerging from FTL travel. It was bigger than anything they'd seen before, its biomechanical hull pulsing with power. The Council flagship, Commander Russell confirmed. They're making their final push. The flagship opened fire, its weapons more powerful than anything the enhanced soldiers had faced. Even with their modifications, John's squad had to scatter to avoid being vaporized. Dr. Martinez, John called through the neural link. We need something more. Uploading final modification package, Martins replied. Warning. This is untested. It will push your enhancements to their limits. John felt the new changes flooding his system. His body began to transform, becoming something even less human than before. Around him, other enhanced soldiers were changing too, their forms adapting to this ultimate evolution. The Council flagship's crew must have seen them changing. Their next transmission held real fear. By all that's natural, what are these humans becoming? Whatever we need to be, John answered, though they couldn't hear him. Whatever it takes to survive. The enhanced soldiers attacked the flagship as one, their new forms capable of things that even they had thought impossible. They phased through walls, absorbed energy attacks, and released devastating counterstrikes powered by dimensional energy. The flagship's biomechanical hull tried to adapt, tried to repair itself, but Earth's monsters were everywhere. They had become living weapons, beings of energy and matter. Evolution given form and purpose. John led his squad through the flagship's core systems, their modified bodies now able to exist partially in the same dimensional space that powered FTL travel. They weren't just disabling the ship, they were consuming its energy, using its power to fuel their own evolution. Cooper. Russell's voice held urgency. The flagship's core is going critical. Get your people out. John gathered his squad and retreated as the massive ship began to break apart. The Council fleet, seeing their flagship destroyed by creatures they could barely comprehend, began a full retreat. The Battle of Titan ended not with a grand explosion, but with the sight of Council ships fleeing into FTL travel, running from the monsters that humanity had become. All enhanced personnel, report status, Commander Russell ordered. John looked at his squad, at their changed forms slowly returning to something more human-like. They had survived. More than that, they had proven why humanity's path was necessary. This is Cooper, he reported. Squad is intact. New modifications are stable, but we're different now, even more than before. All squads reporting similar results, Russell replied. Dr. Martins wants everyone back for evaluation. Good work, people. We've shown the Council why we chose this path. As John led his squad back to Titan Base, he could feel the changes settling into their bodies. They had become something new today, something that even they hadn't known was possible. The Council had come to stop what they saw as an aberration. Instead, they had witnessed the next step in human evolution. Earth's monsters had proven that adaptation, change, and growth could not be stopped. The void around Titan was quiet now, littered with the remains of Council ships. But Earth's defenders had shown the galaxy a truth it needed to learn. Sometimes, monsters were necessary. Sometimes, monsters were what evolution required. Commander Amanda Russell stood in the Council's grand chamber, her enhanced form drawing stares from the assembled alien representatives. 2 weeks had passed since the Battle of Titan, and now it was time for diplomacy. On humanity's terms. Dr. Linda Martinez stood beside her, along with George Bennett, Earth's chief diplomat. Through her neural link, Russell could feel the presence of enhanced soldiers positioned throughout the station. Lieutenant Nash's recon team, Captain Wright's Void Dancers, and Lieutenant Cooper's squad. They were here as both protection and reminder. High Speaker Zulax addressed the chamber, his green scales dulled with stress. The human delegation will now present their terms. Russell stepped forward. Her enhanced vision could see the fear in many of the Council members. Fear of what humanity had become, fear of what they represented. Good. Fear might lead to understanding. 2 weeks ago, she began, you came to our system with an ultimatum. You demanded we undo what we had become. You called us monsters and tried to force us back to what you called natural. Today, we bring our own terms. She gestured, and Dr. Martinez activated a holographic display. Images appeared showing the Battle of Titan, showing enhanced humans moving through space without ships, absorbing energy, evolving mid-battle. This is what humanity chose to become, Russell continued. Not because we wanted to be monsters, but because we needed to survive. The universe doesn't care about what's natural. It cares about what works. The crystalline council member who had been present at first contact spoke up. You violated the most basic principles of galactic civilization. Did we? Dr. Martinez stepped forward. Or did we just remind you of your own history? She changed the display, showing genetic analysis of various council species. Your own bodies tell the story. Every species in the council shows signs of ancient genetic engineering. You didn't evolve naturally to survive on your homeworlds. You were modified, just like us. You simply chose to forget. Murmurs swept through the chamber. Russell could see the impact of this revelation on the council members' biosigns. Some showed shock, others denial, and a few, understanding. We didn't come here to shame you, Russell said. We came to offer a choice. You can continue denying your own history of adaptation and change, or you can remember who you really are, a galaxy of species who survived because they were willing to evolve. George Bennett stepped forward with a datapad. Our terms are simple. Earth will join the Galactic Council, but as equals, not subjects. We will share our enhancement technology with any species that wants it, but only for voluntary use. No one will be forced to change, just as no one will be forced to remain unchanged. You would spread this abomination to other worlds. Zilax asked. We would offer choice, Russell corrected. The same choice humanity made. Adapt or stay as you are. Some will choose one path, some the other. That's what freedom means. Through her neural link, Russell could feel the other enhanced humans watching the council's reactions. Lieutenant Nash's recon team was monitoring all communications, making sure no one was planning any surprises. Captain Wright's void dancers were ready to move if needed. Lieutenant Cooper's squad, still showing signs of their final evolution during the battle, stood as living proof of humanity's potential. Consider what happened at Titan, Russell continued. Your fleet was the largest military force in the galaxy, yet it was defeated by a few hundred enhanced humans. Not because we were stronger, but because we were willing to adapt, to become what we needed to be. She paused, letting her words sink in. You can have that same ability, all of you, not to conquer, not to destroy, but to survive whatever the universe throws at us next. A new council member, one whose species resembled Earth's octopi, moved forward. What you're suggesting would change everything. Our entire civilization is built on maintaining the natural order. The natural order is change, Dr. Martins replied. Evolution doesn't stop because we want it to. It doesn't care about our rules or our fears. It only cares about survival. Russell nodded to Bennett, who distributed data packets to all council members. These contain our full terms, along with preliminary data on our enhancement technology. Take time to study them. Discuss them with your people. We'll return in one standard month for your answer. And if we refuse? Zilax asked. Then Earth will continue on its path alone, Russell answered. We won't force our choices on you, but neither will we let anyone force their choices on us. The Battle of Titan proved what humanity's monsters can do if threatened. She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each council member. But we'd rather be allies than enemies. We'd rather help you remember who you were, who you could be again, than stand alone. Through the neural network, Russell felt a message from Lieutenant Cooper. Movement in the lower chambers. Some council members are already studying the enhancement data. They're interested. Russell smiled. Of course they were. Deep down, every species remembered what it meant to adapt, to change, to become more than they were. Humanity had just reminded them. 1 month, she repeated. Choose wisely. As the human delegation prepared to leave, a young council aide approached Dr. Martinez. The modifications, she asked quietly. Do they really let you survive in space? Dance between the stars? Martinez smiled kindly. They let us do much more than that. They let us become what we choose to be, not just what we were born as. Would you like to learn more? The aide nodded eagerly, and Martinez saw in her eyes the same spark that had driven humanity. The desire to evolve, to grow, to become something more. As they left the council station, Russell looked back at Earth through a viewport. Their home looked peaceful from here, unaware of the changes spreading through the galaxy. Humanity's monsters had done more than defend their world. They had sparked a revolution. "What do you think they'll choose?" Bennett asked. Russell watched through her enhanced vision as more council members began accessing the data they'd provided. She could feel the future changing, evolving, becoming something new. "They'll choose to remember," she said. "They'll choose to become what they were always meant to be, just like we did." Humanity's monsters had shown the galaxy a new path. Now it was time to see who would be brave enough to walk it.